Hello and welcome to the latest Bitcoin news and updates. We have many Bitcoin news updates in this video, so watch it until the end, so you don't miss anything. Let's start. Rick Rieder, CIO of BlackRock, said on CNBC's Squawk Box that he owns Bitcoin and that he believes its price could go up significantly in the future. An executive at the world's largest asset manager, boasting $9.49 trillion in assets under management, Rieder expanded on his thoughts about Bitcoin, describing it as an alternative currency whose future price movement is likely to be dictated by increased adoption. Part of why I own a small piece of Bitcoin is I do think there are more people who are going to enter that fray over time. I like assets that are volatile that have upside convexity. I could see Bitcoin, like it has done, go up significantly. As a speculative tool, Rieder said that there's value in holding some Bitcoin. In August, it was reported that BlackRock allocated over $382 million to shares of Bitcoin mining giants Marathon Digital Holdings and Riot Blockchain. An uncovered SEC filing dated June 30th shows that BlackRock bought significant shares of the Bitcoin mining companies, which it now holds in certain funds. BlackRock's continued interest in Bitcoin speaks to the influx of traditionally conservative large financial institutions leveling up their exposure to Bitcoin through traditional equity and other traditional investment vehicles such as Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. In January, BlackRock filed with the SEC to include cash-settled Bitcoin futures for the BlackRock Global Allocation Fund and the BlackRock Strategic Income Opportunities portfolio, according to Forbes. Notably, BlackRock's investment in Bitcoin mining comes after American Bitcoin mining companies are expected to profit from China's mining ban and the subsequent drop and global reallocation of hashing power. A new poll by research and data analytics company YouGov has shed some light on the US population's approval rate for the government to recognize Bitcoin as legal tender. The poll found that 27% of Americans support the move, with younger generations leading the way with a 44% approval rate. Baby boomers, on the other hand, despise the idea most often. YouGov found that 11% of respondents strongly support an eventual law turning Bitcoin a legal tender in the US, while 16% said they would somewhat support it. The survey demographics were especially interesting, as there appeared to be a firm but expected correlation between age and approval rate. The survey found more support in the US among younger generations, with respondents aged 25 to 34 being the most supportive and amassing a 44% positive outlook for having Bitcoin being used as currency in the country. But baby boomers showed similar numbers in the opposite direction. Those aged between 57 to 75 years old supporting the idea were a minority, 11%, while those against it represented a larger share of that age group, with 43% showing strong opposition. YouGov, which surveyed 4,912 US residents, also found that Democrat respondents were more supportive of the idea of having Bitcoin as a legalized currency in the US when compared to Republicans. But the difference wasn't that big. Nearly 29% of Democrats said they either strongly or somewhat support the US government recognizing BTC as legal tender, compared to only 26% of Republican respondents. Yet another correlation found by the poll relates to income. Respondents earning over $80,000 were twice as likely to support the proposition, 21%, than those earning less than $40,000, 11%, which are also the ones to more strongly oppose it, with 40%. Dmitry Peskov, the acting press secretary for Russian President Vladimir Putin, said that Russia has no reason to recognize Bitcoin. In response to questions following the enactment of El Salvador's law making Bitcoin legal tender, Peskov said the country is not ready for such steps. In his statement to the press, Peskov said that he is unconvinced that adopting Bitcoin would bring any benefits to the Russian Federation. He added that Bitcoin is a quasi-currency and said that he believes equating it to official fiat monetary instruments wouldn't do anything but harm the country's domestic financial system. The Russian chairman of the State Duma Committee on the Financial Market, however, is not so quick to dismiss Bitcoin altogether. Anatoly Aksakov seeks regulatory clarity on Bitcoin and defines mining as a type of entrepreneurship according to a local news outlet. Aksakov commented on the state of Bitcoin mining in Russia. Since this is a type of entrepreneurial activity, obviously, it is necessary to enter it into the register, assign a code to it corresponding to it as a type of entrepreneurial activity and introduce taxation, he said. Aksakov stated that changes to the Russian digital currency laws should definitely be expected. He also went on to clarify the popular confusion between bank-operated digital currencies and cryptocurrency. Note, he did not specify the difference between Bitcoin and all of its centralized knockoffs, which is another sign that Russia is far from understanding Bitcoin, let alone adopting it or holding it in reserve. It is necessary to clearly define the delimitation of these concepts so that there is no confusion, the head of the State Duma committee said. In addition, Aksakov stated, "We still need to discuss the fact that digital currency is actually now, although we call it currency, it is rather used as a financial instrument, as a financial asset, which is an object for investment, rather than as a means of payment. Currently, Bitcoin is defined as property in Russia, but its use for payments is forbidden." According to Aksakov, the central bank's crypto digital ruble should also be registered and its issuance regulated and defined by the committee. Frankfurt-based asset manager Union Investment is testing a pilot program with Bitcoin exposure certificates, according to Bloomberg. If the program is successful, it will open Bitcoin exposure up to other funds as well. Portfolio manager Daniel Baith told Bloomberg, "We are considering adding Bitcoins in small amounts of 1% to 2% maximum to a handful of other funds for private investors. The certificates will be available in the fourth quarter of 2021, but there is no fixed date yet." At the beginning of this year, Union Investment included Bitcoin in a mixed fund for the first time. These were Delta One certificates in private funds called Flexible Pro. Those funds are allowed to invest up to 1% in Bitcoin, and according to Baith, they are currently just below that. Notably, one of Union Investment's largest competitors, Decker Bank, has not yet offered any funds with Bitcoin exposure. Kamil Kaczmarski, a consultant for financial service providers, at Oliver Wyman in Frankfurt explained, "We are observing an increased interest of mixed fund managers in crypto assets. Many traditionally conservative German investment managers are likely to initially offer Bitcoin exposure through certificates and other derivatives. Sparkassen, for example, recently made Bitcoin and crypto investment available to its customers via certificate, ETFs, and individual stocks, according to Bloomberg. The news came after a new German law took effect in August that made it possible for Spezialfonds to invest up to 20% of their holdings in Bitcoin. Check the next video for more news and updates for Bitcoin. Thank you for watching.